Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by the Buick LaCrosse, a luxury sedan available at your local Buick dealer. Experience Buick.
Ball from Castro and out the safe. Messi struck him up. Ryan Cabot. That one is gone. Johnny Bonaro racing around base there. Fastball in the air to right field. This one hit deep. Miller heading back, watching it fly, and Perez has given the Squirrels the finale. Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to Flying Squirrels Insider. I'm your host, John Laaser, and we've got a lot to get to today. My cohorts, Jay Burnham and Wes McElroy, are here, and we discuss the impact of third baseman Adam Duvall's return to the Flying Squirrels offense. We'll also try to figure out how the Flying Squirrels can find consistency in their starting rotation. Plus, Squirrels hitting coach Kenny Joyce is in the house, and he'll tell you what makes the Squirrels go offensively. And then he'll tackle the most difficult challenge of his career, turning yours truly into a competent hitter. That's all ahead on Flying Squirrels Insider, but before we get into the baseball, we get into a cannon. Yes, that's right. We're about to strap you in with Dave the Bullet Smith Jr. as he prepared to delight the diamond with his second successful human cannonball launch. However, before we do, a very stern warning. Do not attempt this at home.
Well, it's a good 50-footer, I'd say. Throw the rag on. Having a bad hair day, you know.
And welcome back to Flying Squirrels Insider. What a wonderful way to launch this episode of FSI. Our thanks to Dave the Bullet Smith Jr., who actually hung out for 2 launches of the human cannonball at the Diamond. We're off and running here on FSI. I'm joined by Wes McElroy and Jay Burnham. In just a moment, we're going to get their thoughts on what has been a hectic, to say the least, couple of weeks for the Flying Squirrels. But before we do, reminders for you viewers right now or throughout the course of this show. Text FSI to 44544, and you could be the latest to win some very cool Flying Squirrels free stuff. And also, before we get going, Wes McElroy, being the diva that he is, pulled his car right on here to the set. His Buick Verano joins us. We do thank the Richmond area GMC Buick dealers. I kid, of course, guys. Welcome back. And again, very hectic turnaround for the Flying Squirrels as they play this most recent homestand. However, Jay, they are buoyed by the return of Adam Duvall. Just talk about that process for Adam a bit.
Yeah, well, first of all, how great is it for the Squirrels to have Adam Duvall back in the lineup? But really a frustrating process for Duvall because there's not much you can do coming back from that thumb injury that we kind of chided in the last episode of FSI. nothing really you can do. Just sit around waiting around for 3 weeks and then taking a week to go out to Arizona and get in some games and try to get his swing back. But I saw him in the dugout the other day. I said, hey, we've been waiting for your return for quite some time. He said, well, so have I. I can't wait to get back onto the field, and we saw it here in this series against Trenton.
About the most active thing that he did while he was injured was help us film that spoof and that mockumentary for the last edition of Flying Squirrels Insider, which was great, by the way, showed off his acting chops. But that's kind of the deal. It was a frustrating thing. And Wes, when you're forced to sit around and you're forced to watch other guys swing and have success and make adjustments that you'd like to make, how difficult will it be for him to come back and not try to do too much right off the bat?
That's it right there. He's not going to come back as a 386 guy. I mean, he was batting 386. He's not going to carry that into the entire season. And Adam Duvall will be the first person to tell you that he's not going to do it. But that's the big thing. Not get back and get, as my dad says, rammy. Don't keep pushing. Don't get in there and try to do too much. Get back in there, try to get in their groove. And we saw that in the second game. The first game, he was coming off an all-night red-eye. Second game, he got back in there, went 2 of 4, got a triple, got back on base, started picking up that rhythm. And Ken Joyce said it's as simple as that. Just get back into your groove and not try to do too much when you get in there.
Well, unfortunately, and with all due respect to your father, Frank, we're going to get rammy on this edition of Flying Squirrels Insider. And that might, unfortunately, be an apt description of what we saw in a violent collision at first base between Flying Squirrels first baseman Ricky Oropesa and Altoona Curve right fielder Alex Dickerson. That was a frightening scene at the Diamond, guys. And as the Squirrels brought Adam Duvall back from the disabled list, they had to place Oropesa on the DL. Jay, at first look, looked like Dickerson got the worst of it, probably still did, but unfortunately some lingering effects for Ricky as well.
Yeah, a real scary moment at the Diamond. I know you were down on the field getting ready to host an in-between innings contest, and I was calling the ball game, and it was just a very frightening moment as Oropesa fielded a ball behind the first base bag, and Dickerson was hustling down the line. The two just met right at the base, and it looked like Dickerson bounced off Oropesa, and he's such a huge guy in his own right. Dickerson's not small by any means, so two big forces coming together at the first base bag. Oropesa got up a little bit earlier, or Oropesa got up a lot earlier than Dickerson, who laid there on the field, and he stayed in the ball game and then was thrown out at home plate an inning later and then removed from the game following that. So we hope he's all right, but the thing for the Squirrels is they're still not at full force yet, as you mentioned, because they had Jack Snodgrass on the DL. He came off, and then Adam Duvall came off the DL. And as those two guys come, so gives and so takes. And the Ricky Oropesa on the DL, we'll see. Hopefully he comes back soon.
Well, I know I was getting flooded with tweets and texts and actually a few calls into our media office looking for an update on Alex Dickerson and now Ricky Oropesa as well. Good news on Alex Dickerson. And again, for those that were at the game and those that see the footage, you can see that he was down on the field for quite some time. He was actually unconscious for a portion there while he lay just off the first base bag. But good news, he went to the hospital, had some precautionary exams on his neck. Those turned out to be negative. He was diagnosed with a concussion, but did get on the Curve team bus and went back with the Curve as they went on their way on their road trip. For Ricky Oropesa, the symptoms come in a day later, which will sometimes happen with those head injuries, but he reported that he was feeling much better and, in his own words, back to his own self the next day. So hopefully it won't be more than a week or so for Ricky Oropesa. Now, Wes, the Squirrels were looking at a conundrum when Adam Duvall came back because Mark Minikazi had taken over for him every day at third base. It seems like a long time now, but back at the beginning of the season, Minikazi's bats were limited a bit because he didn't have the DH. Brett Krill's dealing with that right now. Now the Squirrels won't have to. Minikazi will just go over to the other corner.
Yeah, and you got a guy who's in a groove right now, and they say timing is everything. And Jay, what you were saying is they just can't get their entire order together. But Minikazi's been a guy who's been a consistent in your lineup. He's a patient hitter. He's a guy right now who'll be the first one to tell you that he doesn't feel like he's swinging it well. But if you look at some of these numbers, 312 batting average, 303 leading off an inning, 328 runners on base, 400 with the bases loaded. You're going to have the decisions to make when Ricky Oropesa comes back, but as you lose Oropesa, you go into a series where you're playing a National League team in Altoona, so you keep Minikazi's bat in the lineup, and then when you can make that transition when you come back with a couple American League teams where he can sit there as the DH, you bring Oropesa in, you bring in Duvall, and hopefully that is the best laid plan.
Jay, we were actually talking about this on the broadcast a couple of times over the last homestand, and that was the ability of Mark Minikazi to go the other way. And I mentioned to you, I was obviously impressed with the ability, but more so with his willingness to do so.
Yeah, and I think the term that we used on the broadcast yesterday, he's just smarter than some of the pitchers in this league, and that's a veteran move for Mark Minikazi. A lot of young guys don't want to go the other way, nor do they know how. And Minikazi can do both with accuracy and without really hesitation. So you like what you see there. And then in this homestand that we saw for Minikazi, sometimes he'll get a pitch that he can drive, and he blasts one over the center field wall for his second home run of the season. So a real complete hitter, the complete package for Minikazi when he's right in the middle of the lineup. That's where you like him.
And he's got better hair, on top of being smarter than most of the pitchers in the Eastern League. That helps. Confidence off the field sometimes leads to confidence on the field. It works for this segment of FSI as well. So Mark Minikazi has been that cog in the middle of the order that keeps it going. Without Adam Duvall, without Ricky Oropesa, and for the most part, the middle of the order hasn't necessarily been the issue. Neither has the bottom of the order. But of late, a little bit of a downtick at the bottom. Andrew Susac, Brett Krill, and some of those folks, Wes, trying to find their way back into that hot zone where they were for a few weeks.
But now you look at the top of the order. What's happened with Jarrett Parker? You look at Jarrett Parker. What a move by Ken Joyce and Dave McElroy. This is a guy
sucking up because Kenny's here.
Of course, it's the only way to go.
No, you're right. They do collaborate on that lineup, and it was a heck of a move in Harrisburg.
It was a heck of a move because you look at what Jarrett Parker was doing. He was really struggling in April. Really had a problem with strikeouts. And I got opportunity to talk with his former college coach, Brian O'Connor, and he said, look, sometimes Jarrett Parker is the guy who takes it the hardest. Sometimes it's between the ears with him. They got him into that leadoff position, and they got him confidence. And Ken Joyce said, as soon as I saw him go up that first time in the leadoff spot, the way he came back, he had the confidence about him. He had a swagger about him.
And Dave McElroy said the same thing. It was very interesting. Behind-the-scenes moment, I went down to the clubhouse to get the lineup, the second game of that series against Harrisburg, and I said to Mac, Jarrett looked pretty good last night. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, he had a couple of hits, but also I thought just walking to the plate in his first at-bat, he goes, did you really see that? Because that's what we were saying in the dugout. So that was pretty cool that it's that evident, and that's continued for Jarrett Parker. And really has solidified the top of the order. It's also, I believe, helped Joe Panik round back into form as well in that 2 spot because he's got the juices flowing with Jarrett on base quite a bit in front of him. But, Jay, I mentioned Brett Krill. Yeah. Tough sledding for him because he got hot. You come into the season, the cold weather, you get hot. He's getting consistent at-bats due to some unforeseen circumstances, and he's really lacing the ball all over the field. And then all of a sudden, unfortunately, due to the Eastern League schedule, he's cooled a bit up until recently.
And it's an unfair game. I mean, for a guy like Brett Krill who's been hitting the ball, you think, hey, you got to keep this guy in the lineup. That's really not how it works. So when Krill gets opportunities to hit, and as we record this on a Thursday, he had 3 hits the other day on Wednesday night with 2 runs batted, 3 runs batted in. So he's been able to prove that he can hit, and if he continues to do that, somewhere down the line, when there's an opportunity, he's going to get an everyday position. But until then, he's going to come off the bench and pinch hit in those National League cities, and that's something that he has to learn how to thrive at as well, because I know hitting coach Ken Joyce outlined to us on the pregame show the other day, hey, if this guy makes it to the major leagues in Brett Krill, he might be that 4th or 5th outfielder, and those are things you need to be able to do. Come off the bench cold, be able to pinch hit, and play defense, and Krill can do all those things. He just hasn't been able to do so in the pinch hitting role yet.
Well, the Squirrels offense coming into this season we thought was going to be the strength of this team, and that's what's turned out to be the case. They've been able to maintain that continuity through the order because they have depth. The same might not be true for the starting rotation of the Flying Squirrels. We knew that you were an injury away or a promotion away from having to scramble a bit. This team has been doing that of late. Craig Westcott, Chris Glore, though, Wes, have really started to stand up and said, I'm going to take that mantle as the top-line starter and the ace of this staff with Justin Fitzgerald gone.
And especially Chris Glore in his last 2 starts where he's faced the same team. And Mac was saying this, that's something in its own.
He better not get rain, by the way, coming up here. He'll face him 3 times in a row.
And that's even more impressive when you have a guy doing what he's doing, going back to back. But Chris said, look, it came down to getting my fastball, getting the command down on my fastball. But you remember this guy, we go back to the beginning of the season, he had 1 start, then he had that dizzy spell where he fainted on the field, went on the 15-day disabled list. He said to me, that just set me back. I couldn't get in my rhythm. And he was talking about the way spring training went. He said he wishes he could start spring training a month early to kind of get the gunk out of the works and get in a rhythm. And now it appears as he's got that fastball command down, he's got his rhythm.
So Westcott and Glore at the top of the order. And Jay, very quickly as we wrap up this segment, 3 spot starts in a row at the back end of the rotation. Squirrels need some help maybe.
Yeah, 3 guys that haven't started in affiliated baseball since 2009 doing a fantastic job. And I think you have to credit Ross Grimsley, who's really been challenged this year. Despite all the woes for the pitching staff, they still lead the league in ERA. I mean, it's just amazing. I think this may be the best season for Grimsley, trying to get all these guys in order. But they need guys to give them innings. Craig Westcott has been that guy, unfortunately missing a start with a stomach issue. Westcott, really the horse that you want to have. He pitched 7 1/3 innings his last time out. So if he can continue to give you those innings, you got Glore and Westcott at the top.
But we like to accentuate the positives, and that's been the offense over the first month and a half of the season. Ken Joyce has been a positive presence on this show and also our radio broadcast for each of the last 3 seasons. Very pleased to welcome him here as we get on FSI Field, and he tries to turn me and Jay into hitters. That's right, Jay and I are going to try to learn learn to hit with hitting coach Ken Joyce. That's after this as FSI continues.
And now it's time for more Dugout Thoughts with Chris Glore.
When the interns start the Go Nuts chant, I think they're yelling donuts. Then I think about bear claws and eventually panda bears. They're really cute.
Welcome back to FSI. Time for our favorite part of the show as we take it to the field, FSI Field, and we also now bring in one of our favorite contributors to Flying Squirrels Insider over the last couple of seasons. Flying Squirrels hitting coach Ken Joyce is with us here on set. And Kenny, first of all, welcome to the program.
I appreciate it, Lays. It's nice to be able to see you other than Sunday mornings when I wake up to you.
That's our weekly radio interview. Many people may not know this, Kenny, but you actually had a large hand in writing our Tommy Joseph hitting lesson sketch last year and also our Flying Squirrels broadcaster audition sketch this year. But today, we actually brought you in. We're not going to be comedic, although I'm sure we'll have a few moments of levity, but we do actually want to talk about offense. And this is a serious offensive unit this year. You've asked Jarrett Parker to step into the leadoff spot lately and headline that group. Why was that move made? What have you seen from him since you've made it?
Well, we needed a leadoff hitter. I mean, we struggled at the top of the order, and I think Jared was the right choice, and Dave McElroy came up with the idea. We talked about it, and the one thing that I like about it is Jared is showing a lot of confidence right now. It's something he had done in college, and you know, from the first day that he went into the leadoff spot, you saw him with just a little bit of swagger, the way he went up to the plate, and the confidence that he has, and it's certainly helping us. He's getting on base, and I think one thing it does for Jared is makes him focus from the beginning of the game on. Instead of waiting for that first at bat, he gets to get it out of the way, and he's ready to go.
A lot of times you'll hear he strikes out too much. We need him to cut that down. That's obviously easier said than done. Jared's done a nice job of that. How's he done that?
He's been working extremely hard in the cage. We do a velocity step-up drill where he comes into the cage every day, and we start on the machine, fastballs at home plate, and after about 7 or 8 swings, he'll move up a step towards the pitching machine, and then another step, another step. Eventually, he ends up probably Little League distance with the machine set on high, so he's probably hitting about 120 miles an hour by the time he's getting his hands on the ball, and it's certainly giving him confidence.
Andrew Susak seemed to come out of spring training with a ton of confidence. He was one of those guys we weren't quite sure if he was going to be here or not. Came out raking, tapered off a bit. Last night, a big step in the right direction.
No question. And, you know, with Andrew, he's a guy that needs to feel what he's doing, and he lost a feel for the head of the bat. He was moving the bat a lot in his setup. Last night, we talked about just resting it on his shoulder and just kind of letting it come off as a timing mechanism. He was also lifting his leg instead of tucking his leg, so he wasn't really getting to the backside. He was lifting his leg and going forward. As you'll see later on, Lays, when we try to help you learn how to hit, it's very important to be in position.
I'm a natural, Kenny.
You are a natural, but it's very important to be in position to hit, and Andrew wasn't in that position, but did some nice work yesterday in the cage, and his swings last night were the Andrew Susak that came out of spring training.
What have you seen from Adam Duvall in the very few at-bats since he's been back?
I'm very impressed with Adam. One thing that he was able to do while he was on the DL with us was he was able to do some one-hand drills with me before he went to Arizona, and the fact that he did get some at-bats in Arizona certainly helped. He did face Roy Oswalt in a rehab start out there. Roy's trying to make a comeback with the Rockies. And the one thing about going to Arizona is that sometimes you face those live arms with guys who don't know how to pitch. So it's probably a little easier for him to hit here than it was actually out there because guys are actually around the plate. But last night, real nice adjustments for him. He got more downhill. You know, the first night is a wash. He took the red eye. Told me that the gentleman sitting next to him had the light on reading all night. As I told him, it would have been either the lights going out or you are, sir. But he did a nice job getting here and filling in. But to me, yesterday, he was well rested, get on his legs, and was actually downhill and get a swing where he needed to.
You mentioned Roy Oswald. I heard a good story from down there from Adam. Actually, he came back from his first at-bat and said, man, that guy looks a lot like Roy Oswald. And someone said, it is Roy Oswald. And he said, stop messing with me. And that's kind of the aw-shucks nature that we like so much about Adam Duvall. It was also the same nature that we liked about Brandon Belt. I wanted to get your thoughts on some of the guys that have moved past Richmond, World Series champions among them, Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, and Nick Noonan now.
Well, those guys have done an outstanding job, and part of our job as coaches in the minor leagues is to increase the value of our players, not only for the San Francisco Giants, but also maybe like a Tommy Joseph that we trade to get 100 pence to help our big league team. So real proud of the guys who have gone up. Nick Noonan certainly struggled here in the Eastern League, as a lot of hitters do, but was able to understand how to deal with failure. He's done a great job at the big league level, filling in up there, getting some at-bats, and as far as Crawford, I was asked in the Arizona Fall League when I had him 2 years ago, could he be our everyday shortstop, and could he hit at least 240? I said he'll hit 250 or higher every year, which he has, and play a real good defense. And Brandon Belt, I mean, he came out of nowhere that year that he had, and certainly is starting to hit for power now, which we knew would come. He needed to learn how to hit first, and as you can see behind us there, that's a tough ballpark to hit in.
It is, but that's the ballpark I'm going to hit in. I need to learn to hit first. Kenny's going to show me that. Flying Squirrels hitting coach Ken Joyce is with us, and when we return, we get the lumber out and we try to swing it.
And now it's time for more Dugout Thoughts with Chris Glore.
Every time Ross Grimsley visits me on the mound, I pretend he's a waiter bringing me a Mai Tai. He never does, but if he did, I'd pitch with a little pink umbrella behind my ear.
All right, here we are in the batter's box as FSI continues with Flying Squirrels hitting coach Ken Joyce. And Kenny, this is going to be a tall task, so I want to get right into it. Jay Burnham's with us here because he is the lefty. We know he's peculiar. We're going to see that left-handed swing in just a minute. I don't have any tools, as we say. I didn't have the physical stature, but I had the will to try. And that's what we're going to do today. So treat me like a beginner. As you said, you got to be ready to hit. You got to learn to hit. What's the first thing I need to do as a beginner stepping into the box?
First thing I want you to do, Laser, is get in a nice athletic stance. Get nice and relaxed and comfortable.
All right, I'm good. Let's go.
Okay, you're not. Nice try.
All right.
Okay, but basically we're looking for feet a little bit more than shoulder width apart.
All right.
Okay, we want your knees inside your ankles. We want you nice and relaxed, a little flex like you just did. Okay, hands should be up just off your shoulder. Okay, right there. Keep that front elbow nice and relaxed. Keep that back elbow relaxed. Back in the day, you used to hear all the time, keep that back elbow up. Not true.
Yeah, you still see that from some of the guys, the chicken wing stance. But you also see a guy like Gary Brown who would start in here. You see some other guys that are way up here. My suit jacket won't allow me to go as high as I would like here. But as you're saying, for you, the ideal start for a right-handed hitter, right here,
just off the shoulder. And the thing is, Lays, you made a great point. It doesn't matter where you start. It's whether or not you are in position to hit when your front foot lands. And if you look at guys back in the day, Carl Yastrzemski, you look at guys like Rod Carew that used to hold the bat down here. Every one of those guys, as soon as their front foot landed, they were in what we call the launching position. So what I'm going to do is simplify this for you. I want you in the launching position.
Okay.
Your hands just off your shoulder.
All right, so I'm right here. Now, as you said, when your front foot lands, and that's also a discrepancy for a lot of guys. You'll just see the slide step. You'll see the leg kick. Again, which do you recommend for me? I'm a power hitter, clearly.
For you right now, just pick your foot up and put it down with just a little knee tuck. All I want you to do is just tuck your knee back towards that, pick your foot up as you're doing it, and then put it right back down. Don't go forward. Put it right back down where you picked it up. Because you did exactly what most people do, ladies.
See? That's why we're here.
When I look at you and point at your eyes, go ahead and take that same step you just took. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go forward. See how your eyes just move forward? He went about that far. He went forward. He went down.
Yeah.
Automatically, right off the bat, you can't see the ball because your head and eyes are moving forward and down. That's one thing that happens. The second thing that happens, as the ball's coming at you, 90 miles an hour, as you go forward, it now speeds up to 95.
I got you.
Because you actually made the ball speed up by going towards it. You cut the distance.
Let's do this right one time. Quick.
Okay, so now, the best advice I ever got, hitting coach by the name of Merv Bretman told me, stride to go back.
Okay.
Stride to go back. So as you're striding, you're shifting your weight back, picking your foot up, putting it down. Let's see it, ladies.
All right, here it is.
Perfect, right there.
And then we're coming through.
Then there's the swing. Perfect.
That didn't feel all that good, though.
Okay, let's try it again.
Here we
Load,
go.
stride, and swing. There it is.
Eye on the ball. Okay, well, I want to get the left-handed perspective, too, because I'm sick of embarrassing myself, first of all. But great advice. So let's bring in Jay Burnham here. He is our resident southpaw. He's a pitcher by trade, so let's cut him some slack with the swings. He's our only lefty on the crew, though. So, Kenny, what are we going to do with him, and what are the differences between ideal setup for lefties as opposed to righties?
And again, it's up to you. It's preference. It's whatever you feel comfortable with, Jason. Let me see what you think is comfortable for you.
I got to get out of the way here.
That's not bad right there. Again, all I'm looking for is for you to separate. Load and stride first. Go ahead, load and stride, get that front foot down, and then swing. Don't swing until your front foot gets down. Best drill for that, with young kids, and I actually do it with some of my players, is a little clap drill. I'm going to clap once. You're going to load and stride. And that second clap, you're going to go ahead and swing. You ready? Here we go. Load and stride in the first one.
Here we go.
Load and stride in the first one. Then swing. So it's right here. Load and stride, and then swing. Okay, ready? There you go.
He's fairly uncoachable. But we all know that I have the raw physical skills
You do.
get
But you know
this
what,
done.
Lace? I got to tell you what.
Oh, all right.
You got no chance with that. So I think
not?
really what we need to do
I think
is,
our viewers would think differently, but no, here we go. Of
That's
course.
what you
always
need to have, Lace.
always the prankster, Flying Squirrels hitting coach Ken Joyce. I told you we'd have a moment of levity, and we had a few. Thanks to everybody. We're out of time. From all of us at Flying Squirrels Insider, we'll talk to you next time.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by the GMC Terrain, available at your local GMC dealer. We are professional grade.